I'm delighted that we're going to hear from so many experts in the field who are joining us today. I am what you might term a well-intentioned amateur. In the course of the day, we're going to hear from some professionals in the field of mental health and well-being, and I think that is just wonderful, and I pay tribute to the organisers for putting together the programme that they have. Our distinguished speakers today will deliver vital information surrounding the importance of maintaining the mental health of those within our community. Now, mental health is not always the cheeriest or easiest of topics to discuss. And before I begin, I want to give advance notice that in the course of today, we will be discussing some challenging topics, and that might be triggering for some people who have experienced them in some ways. When we talk about mental health and wellness, we need to be careful and compassionate in the words that we use and make sure we give people space and understanding. But just because the topic is difficult doesn't mean that we should avoid it. The fact is that there are many people, a great many people, who believe that mental health is all about illness and weakness. But you know, nothing could be further from the truth. There are, and it's a recognized fact, there are some mental health conditions that are diagnosable diseases, and it's wonderful just how treatable all of these have become in recent years. But mental health is about so much more than that. Mental health is about people finding meaning. It's about people finding connection. It's about people finding purpose. It's about people finding understanding. And above all, it's about people finding resilience. And sometimes it is just simply having someone to talk about the everyday challenges in life. Now, many people find this kind of resilience through religious faith. Others find it by working together in common purpose. Human beings face difficulties and thrive. Still others find those connections by working with mental health professionals in therapy, conducted either in person or, in this day and age, more increasingly online. And many people strengthen their mental health by building deep personal connections with family, with friends, and with loved ones that allow for vulnerability, where we can freely ask the question, not simply, how are you, but how are you really? And there is a big difference between these two questions. Here in California, the need for mental health service and support is overwhelming. According to NAMI, who I am delighted to see represented here today, more than 5.5 million adults have a mental health condition. That is more than the population of Scotland. And more than 1.5 million of those people did not receive any treatment last year. Alarmingly, 1.2 million adults in the state of California had suicidal thoughts last year, and 4,491 lives were lost to suicide. And never forget, when you say a number like that, it is so much more than simply a number. That is 4,491 families and groups of friends whose lives have been changed forever. 21st century work culture, which may admirably reward a very high work ethic and commitment to quality work, also leads to extremely high levels of individual stress. Long work hours often lead to limited time for family or for friends, and even for activities that can decrease this stress. Sadly, we do not place a high enough priority on dealing with mental health issues in today's society. Although things are improving slightly, there remains a strong cultural stigma against discussing mental health. And there are still some parts of the world where it is not even permitted to discuss mental health. I believe that Rotary, because of its global reach, is uniquely positioned to help change that. We can fight that stigma. We can raise awareness of mental health needs, and we can take a leadership role in expanding access to mental health care. Right from the very start, saying our humanity and building personal connection. We've grown into an amazing global network of interconnected community leaders. Already heard, 1.4 million commitment world. But what makes Rotary powerful isn't just what we do for the communities we serve. We also support and empower each other by creating a safe space for our members to bring their whole authentic selves. We show each other comfort and care. I talked earlier about those deep personal connections that are so important for mental health, the ones where people feel safe discussing what troubles them most. Well, these kind of connections can be built one-to-one right within Rotary. When we make those kinds of caring investments in each other, we strengthen our friendships and we strengthen ourselves. Because the research shows that performing acts of kindness is the single most effective step anyone can take to protect our sense of well-being and to make us more resilient to all the challenges life throws our way. And that is precisely what members of Rotary do, day by day, week by week, month by month, in their community and in the world's community. I know what it is like to see someone suffer in silence through adversity and be eaten up by it. And I'm sure all of us, perhaps unknowingly, have experienced loved ones suffering in silence. At the Rotary International Assembly in Orlando in January of 2023, I shared publicly for the first time how I had seen it all too close at hand when my only brother, Ian, descended into the depths of despair and depression that ultimately led him to take his own life 10 years ago. With the benefit of hindsight, and isn't hindsight a wonderful thing? But with the benefit of hindsight, Ian had been struggling for some time. Despite being highly successful in his chosen profession, and despite having the most loving wife and family, but he just could not bring himself to ask for help. Now, why was that? Was it for fear of being seen as weak? Was it for fear of being judged? Was it even for fear of being rejected? We will never know. But believe me, even 10 years on, these are three questions that I continue to ask myself every day in life. While stressing that I did not and I do not share Ian's story to get sympathy, I might venture to suggest that one of the main reasons that he and so many others like him reach the point they do is that mental health remains such a taboo subject, and that mental health services remain in such short supply. I know that Rotary, working with others, can do something about that. I know that a state like California can break the taboo about discussing mental health, and I am bold enough to believe that working together, Rotary can play its part in that. I'm confident we can illuminate mental health needs near and far. We can help one another feel more supported as fellow Rotary members and as neighbours. We can advocate for mental health services. And we can build the bridges that are necessary with experts in the mental health space, as hopefully we are doing today, to help expand treatment. And the good news is we are not starting this exercise from scratch. The Rotary Action Group for Mental Health Initiatives has been focused on these kinds of issues for many years now, and it has shown great leadership in the last 10 months as we have continued to build awareness. When my term as president is complete in just a few weeks' time, this focus on mental health will live on through the Rotary Action Group for Mental Health Initiatives leadership. And I am encouraging all Rotary districts around the world to form a chapter of that group, to remain connected with it and remain engaged in this space. Rotary clubs around the world already have numerous mental health-focused projects, and mental health care fits comfortably within our several areas of focus. There are some wonderful global grants already underway that have tremendous promise. And perhaps the most encouraging thing to me that this focus is having an impact is the way that number continues to rise. In Korea, thanks to a series of global grants, Rotary is taking up a critical leadership role in building a series of mental health centers to support the children that are being abused in that country. These global grants are lending support to children whose struggles were not even acknowledged previously, helping them find hope and helping them build resilience, all the while demonstrating the importance of expanded mental health services in that country. Rotary in New Zealand has an especially exciting project. Anxiety and depression are affecting children worldwide at an alarming rate, especially in the wake of the COVID pandemic. And the problem is especially acute in Northland, New Zealand. A woman named Kat Levine has created an innovative program called Think and Be Me, built on the proven highly effective techniques of cognitive behavioral therapy. The project uses fun, interactive activities to teach children that altering the way they think changes the way they feel. This emotional literacy training is being provided to 9,000 children in 600 schools on the Northland Peninsula close to Auckland. The program was heavily tested before rolling out across these schools, and we are confident that the children that are benefiting from this project are going to gain skills that will take them through life. And earlier this year in India, Heather and I saw a similar wonderful initiative being implemented by the Rotary Club of Nagpur through a global grant in partnership with the Rotary Club of Naples, Florida. Wellness in a Box is a depression awareness curriculum for ages 12 and over, and it's a web-based Train the Trainer module. And it focuses on breaking the stigma of anxiety and depression, as well as enhancing coping skills and knowledge. It deals with suicide prevention, and it helps train teachers as school counselors. In addition to India, Wellness in a Box has been implemented in the eastern USA, Puerto Rico, and also Nigeria. It breaks stigma by showing treatment is available and that some cases are preventable. It raises awareness with measurable improvements in knowledge, in negative attitude, and confidence in help seeking. And it increases access to early treatment by communicating the local protocol for treatment. The great thing about the last two projects, Think and Be Me and Wellness in a Box, is that both are replicable and scalable. While we were in Guatemala recently, there was interest in launching it there. So overall, right now, there are more than 50 global grant projects with a mental health focus underway, and dozens more, possibly hundreds more, projects are being implemented at the club and district level. Interest in the subject is widespread. Whilst in Zambia last fall, I met with the Vice President of the country and shared about our focus on mental health and well-being, and received an immediate commitment that her government would seek to partner with Rotary there to address the issue, and they are now doing so. In Rome, I had the opportunity to share about it with the Pope, and he was quick to endorse the focus and recognize the need for action. I am not blowing my own trumpet when I say that in all my 40 years in Rotary, I have never seen a focus so widely and openly embraced. This is the moment. This is